And talking of this, there's some news which is just coming in. In fact, what we are learning is that 2 more nightclubs, which belongs to the accused, Saurav Luthra and Gaurav Luthra. So there are 2 more nightclubs which belong to Saurav Luthra and Gaurav Luthra. Remember, they are the owner of the same nightclub which caught fire. So 2 other nightclubs have also been sealed. In fact, one of them is called Vagator of Goa, which is not too far away. They've been sealed, and what we are also picking up by way of our sources is that there could be a bulldozer action against these nightclubs, which means that they are razed to the ground. Joining me now is our colleague Vivek Gupta, who's been giving all those खबर. Vivek, हाँ बताएं, और क्या तो ये 3 ही प्रॉपर्टीज थे क्या लूथरा ब्रदर्स का गोवा में, और आगे की क्या कार्रवाई होगी, और क्या आपके सूत्र कुछ बताते हैं क्या कि ये लोग जो फुकेट भाग गए इनको कैसे ट्रैक किया जाएगा, कैसे वापस लाने की क्या संभावना है?
देखिए पल्लवी, आपको बताना चाहेंगे कि इस पूरे मामले में जो मेन एक्यूज थे, जो पब के ओनर थे सौरभ लूथरा और गौरव लूथरा, उन्होंने 7 तारीख को जिस रात को ये 12 बजे आग लगी थी, जिसमें 25 लोगों की जानें चली गई थी, उसके ठीक 5 घंटे बाद 5:30 बजे की उन्होंने इंडिगो की फ्लाइट ली जो सीधे फुकेट थाईलैंड वहां पे भाग गए। इसकी जानकारी तब मिली जब गोवा पुलिस ने दोनों आरोपियों के खिलाफ LOC यानी कि लुकआउट सर्कुलर जारी किया और सारी इमिग्रेशन को अलर्ट किया। इमिग्रेशन को अलर्ट करने से पहले ही इमिग्रेशन उन्हें इन्फॉर्मेशन दी कि दोनों आरोपी जो हैं वो ऑलरेडी इंडिया के बाहर जा चुके हैं। यही वजह है कि गोवा पुलिस अब अपनी इंडिया की नोडल एजेंसी CBI के संपर्क में है और CBI से मांग कर रही है कि वो इंटरपोल के साथ कनेक्ट करें और साथ ही साथ जो आरोपी फुकेट में है गौरव लूथरा और सौरभ लूथरा, उन दोनों को ट्रेस डाउन करके जानकारी दे। वहीं दूसरी तरफ गोवा पुलिस ने एक बड़ी कार्रवाई की है, जहां पे आरमोर में जहां पे घटना घटी थी वहां पे रोमियो नाइट क्लब को पूरी तरह से सील कर दिया गया है। साथ ही साथ इन दोनों आरोपियों के गोवा में लगभग 3 और क्लब हैं, उनको भी पूरी तरह से सील कर दिया गया है और सूत्रों से जानकारी मिल रही है कि गोवा सरकार इन तीनों प्रॉपर्टी पर बड़ा एक्शन ले सकती है। हो सकता है गोवा सरकार इन तीनों प्रॉपर्टी पर बुलडोजर भी चला सके। पल्लवी,
Thank you very much. हमको जानकारी देने के लिए. Well, we certainly hope that he gets tracked down soon. It's absolutely unbelievable that the 2 accused escaped.
And it's the same story again and again, right from the time of Bhopal gas tragedy to this Goa tragedy. Every time there's a disaster, the accused somehow manages to flee, catches a flight and get away from India. So Aman, do you think opposition, because it's a BJP ruled state again, opposition could raise this on the floor of the House as well?
I think so. This will become a big outrage issue inside the parliament today. See, Arunima, the fire happened around 12:30 a.m. The flight the Luthra brothers took from Delhi is at 5 a.m. So maybe they had left for the airport around 2 a.m., 3 hours before they would have reached. So within an hour of the fire, the Luthra brothers realized that what the law could do to them and what big the tragedy. Within an hour, they have managed their escape. They reached the Delhi airport. They took the flight out to Phuket. The LOC was only issued later that day, and the police team reached only yesterday.
Yeah.
After they had already reached Phuket by 11 a.m. on the 7th of December. So it's very clear that they really knew that the authorities would take time, but they did not waste any time.
And insiders tip off them. That's what the suspicion seems to be.
Maybe insiders tip off, maybe they realized that, after the fire happened, the most tragic part of this is that out of the 25 people, 20 who have lost their lives are their own employees. So they didn't even wait to, condole or console their own employees' family.
He released one statement which doesn't say much. I agree with you. But the point is that if the Goa police is coming to Delhi, we all know that. Wouldn't the first thing have been to ensure that no one, you at least issue a lookout notice, because these people will obviously try to flee from the airport.
And it was so quick. I think by the time Goa police realized who the owners are, where do they live, do we alert Delhi police, do we alert the people at Luthra brothers already left. So I think they were far quicker than what the authorities were.
I have a strong suspicion somebody within the system would have warned them. Somebody who knows the ropes of how the legal system works, how the bureaucracy works.
Just want to ask you, Arunima, because I've seen you've been tracking all these developments related to agencies. What's going to be the process here on? Because they've already left, any LOC or the international community can be added here.
So let me try and explain what an LOC is. LOC is a lookout circular. What does it say? It warns authorities across land ports, airports and seaports that if this person comes to any of your port, if you have to leave the country, you either take the sea route, or you take the airport route, or you go via road. So the authorities at each of these are warned that if you see this person, please stop them, don't allow them to leave the country. So the ship has sailed. They've left the country, so that LOC is meaningless. Now you're approaching the Interpol, you're approaching the CBI. What will have to be done? You'll have to come up with a red notice or a blue notice. And these RCN or blue, they're different colored notices. For that, there is a process. Because Interpol will be convinced only if you have done your investigation well, if there's a charge sheet to back up your claim. So it's a long drawn legal process. However, deportation is easier. If they manage to go to Phuket, if Thailand and India diplomatically are on the same page and they manage to convince that this man is wanted here for such a heinous crime, deportation I think is the easiest option that India has.
Free, so maybe it will be easier, but of course the boat has sailed. It will take time now to get them back.
By the time we woke up, it was 3 hours. They'd already landed in Phuket and most probably checked in into some fancy resort. Yesha Kotak is also now joining us. She's also been getting us all those details first up on CNN News 18. Yesha, the next step forward. What else can be done? Anything you're getting to know from your sources in the Goa police? Are they shamefaced? Is there any possible explanation can they give to what really happened?
Absolutely. In fact, Pallavi, that we speak about, like you rightly said, that while the Goa police was still trying to search the two accused, they've already escaped. In fact, in a couple of hours after this very incident took place, they managed to take a flight to Phuket. However, now what's important to note is that, like we've of course heard Anu speaking about, Goa police will have to now first approach the court and issue, the red corner notice or whatever other notices that they would discuss with the concerned judicial departments and the legal team about. In fact, while the Goa police was still in Delhi, they were on the lookout. They were in fact they had also issued the LOC outside the residence of the Luthra brothers. But while all of this was done in the nick of the time, even before the Goa police could in fact initiate any of this process, there was someone possibly, this is an assumption that we're making, that there was someone possibly who had in fact already guided them to ensure that they were out of the country. And which is where now approaching the authorities. Clearly, it's a long process now because it will be difficult to put their hand on Luthra brothers. The only thing that the Goa authorities can now really do is take the help of the judiciary and ensure that their assets or the family members who are in fact here could be questioned on their assets. They could notices issued there, and the further course of judiciary, as is the process here, could be followed. Of course, here the Goa police will have to now take the help of various agencies, the central agencies as well, so as to decide the further course of action. So far, the Goa police has been tight-lipped. They have of course issued this LOC, but the LOC came in a little too late, just before the Luthra brothers could leave. Clearly, as we see in any other in any Bollywood movie, before the cops could arrive, the accused would have already fled. The Lamba Hath of Kanun has clearly not been able to reach to the Luthra brothers right here. Yes.
Morning, Yesha. This is Arunima. Just wanted to understand from you, is there any internal inquiry also being done? Because there seems to be a strong suspicion that the Luthra brothers were helped with an insider tip-off.
Absolutely. Arunima, when we speak of this, there have been several allegations that have been levelled. Now here clearly the Chief Minister and the concerned ministers will have to be answerable to this. When it comes to several MLAs in Goa, they have already raised suspicion, they've already questioned and in fact also questioned several IAS and IPS officers who are hand in gloves with these people. Now, let us understand the whole timeline. In 2023 was when permission was given by the local Gram Panchayat of Arpora to run this very club that is bought by the Romeo Lane. Following which, as far as allegations from the politicians in Goa are concerned, they've gone further to question, saying the Gram Panchayat, there were several IAS, IPS officers who hand in gloves and they've gone ahead to give permission to this. Though there were questions that were raised time and again on this, of course, as a part of the entire inquiry, an inquiry team has already been set up. In fact, questions have also been raised, and the Gram Panchayat in this case has also been questioned for this very permission that was granted to them. But here, of course, there are several IAS, IPS officers, current as well as former, who still remain, in that doubt, who are still being named as the possible people who were hand in gloves with this very club when it was set up. But here, Arunima, the question actually remains as to when it comes to the main culprit, the Luthra brothers, who in fact tried to flout the rules, who did not have specific permissions in place, be it the fire NOC or for that matter the other NOCs required to set up the club there. All of that was done by being hands in gloves with people in authority. But so far, Goa Police has only been able to arrest 5 people. All of these were in fact employees. Arunima, of course, this is a stark contrast when you speak of it. Those who've lost their employees, those who've lost their life in this very fire have been employees of the firm of Luthra brothers. 20 of them, in fact. 5 who've been arrested are again employees, their general manager, bar managers, and those who are looking after the daily operations of the club. Whereas the actual owners, seem to be absconding and far away.